How much do you need for retirement? Let's check it out. Hey, what's up? Thanks for stopping by, taking your time to watch this video. I really appreciate it. My name's Keith Wilson. I'm a practicing financial advisor here helping folks along their personal finance journey, right? All right, so the big question of the day, probably every day, how much do I need for retirement? And I know if you're watching this video, you've probably searched the internet and you've gotten all kinds of answers. Well, first of all, let's start with a dollar figure. You'll hear, oh, all you need is 500,000. No, you need $1 million. No, you need 2 million. Well, and that's because everyone's different. So when it comes to how much you need for retirement, we've got to start with how much income are you going to require in retirement. So when we look at income, let's look at what you're doing right now, not just so much your gross income, because other searches about this topic will say you need 70% of your income, you need 75, you need 80%. Well, there's not a hard, fast rule because, like I said, everyone's different. Their goals are different. So this is how you should, consider looking at it. Not just your income. So you look at your gross income, you got to back out taxes, then you got to back out whatever contributions you're making toward a retirement plan, back out whatever you're saving for an emergency fund or other savings goal, back out your mortgage payment, back out any debt payments you have like student loan, credit card debt, auto loans, things like that. So what I'm trying to drive at is I want to get at, when I'm working with a client, I want to get at what are your true living expenses? What is it going to take for you to live comfortably, to pay the utilities and food, gas, groceries, going out to eat, shopping, your lifestyle, playing golf or whatever. I want to get at that figure because when you retire, you should strive to have a goal of having no debt. So think about it. You might make a lot of money, but if a lot of it is going towards these debt payments and you're really living on a smaller amount, that's what we want to get at. So let's take a look at this exercise. Let's go to the old retirement planning software package that I got going on. And I want to look at a fictitious couple to kind of give you an idea. All right, so here we are. This is Homer and Marge Simpson. Homer is 47, Marge is 45. Let's look at their income. So Homer's salary is $70,000, that's gross, and we're going to estimate his Social Security amount at retirement. Marge's salary is $90,000, and we'll estimate her Social Security as well. Let's look at what they're currently saving right now. So Homer is contributing to his 401k. He's contributing 6% of his salary. Marge is contributing the same 6%. Also, Homer's got a Roth IRA, and right now he's contributing $6,000 a year. Now their goals, well, let's go back. Let's look at if we backed out, and this is what I was talking about earlier. If we backed out, the taxes that they pay, those contributions that they're making, what they're spending on that. We'll look at debt in a minute. If we backed out everything, and I've already did this ahead of time, Homer and Marge are actually living on $5,800 a month. So that doesn't include, insurance payments, property tax. This is what it takes for them to have the lifestyle they want now. Going out to eat and doing all the wonderful things. And what I've found is when people retire, you hear all this stuff. Well, you're not going to, you're going to reduce your income. What I've found, people's net income, or this living expenses that we call it, it's really the same. You're still going to go out to eat. You're still going to go buy groceries, play golf, do all those wonderful things. So for them, when we backed out everything, $5,800 was their living expenses. Now, let's look at what they have currently. So currently we see they have $40,000 in a bank account. Looks like a money market account. Oh, they got a little bit of debt, credit card debt, so they've got a balance on a credit card. They owe $10,000. They're making a $400 payment. And again, remember, the goal when you retire is not to have any debt. So that would free up $400 a month in cash flow. And then investments, well, Homer's got an IRA at $125,265. That's how it's invested. We'll talk about that later. Homer's got a Roth IRA. And then they've got a joint brokerage account of $102,000 plus, and Marge's got a 401k as well. So that's what they've got saved up currently. They're $47.45. Now we got a little bit of debt here, so we've got a home loan. So they've got a home loan. It's not uncommon. A mortgage payment. They're paying $1,400 a month, and they owe $160,000. So again, the goal here is to have that sucker paid off by the time you retire, and you've freed up $1,400 in cash flow. Well, and also Homer's got a car loan. So he's paying $600 a month, and he owes $28,800. And we're going to say their home is worth $350,000. They're paying $2,800 in property tax and homeowners insurance of $1,200. So that's where they are now with their expenses, what they've saved up, and so forth. So they have a goal. Let's go look at this. So Homer says, you know what, Keith? I want to retire when I'm 62. I want Marge to retire when she's 60. And we want that same income, that living expenses, not gross income. We want that same living expenses that we've got right now of $5,800 a month. But we also, want to adjust that for inflation. Okay, so sure, great. And we've also got to account for, in retirement, you're going to have health care expenses that you're going to meet, and you're going to have long-term care expenses. So that's the goal. They say, hey, this is where we are now. We've got this much money saved up. This is what we're saving for retirement currently, and we want to make $5,800 after all the debt is gone. We want to spend $5,800 how we see fit and adjust it for inflation. So there's our goal. Let's see. Let's go to retirement, see if we can make this thing work based on those assumptions. All right, so here we go. So what this is saying is, after we plugged all that in, your gross income, what you're contributing, what you've got now, what your debt is, in order for you to make $5,800 a month in today's dollars in retirement, then you only have a 68% degree of probability of success. Now, I don't like that. I'd like to at least see 75% degree of probability of success. So, hey man, we're going to have to tweak this. We're saying you want to retire at 62 and Marge wants to retire at 60 and with $5,800 a month. So let's see if we tweak this a little bit. Certainly, all right, let's look, first of all, I would sit down with them and say, Homer, Marge, can we at least pump that savings rate to 10% of your salary? So instead of contributing 6% of your income to that 401k, let's make it 10%, and let's see what happens if we get a little higher degree of success. Not a lot, but that's one step. Let's look at another step. All right, so we're basing it on your current allocation, how you're currently invested in that 401k, IRAs, retirement accounts, and so forth. So let's go back and let's see how that's allocated. So we go here, there's your IRA. Oh, wow. So it's invested in these two funds, and this is fictitious. This is not a recommendation or anything like that. I just made it up. It looks like you're invested pretty doggone conservatively at age 47, far more in bonds than stocks, and it looks like everything's invested that way. So let's go back to the retirement tab. look at your current allocation, and I would say, gee, you're 47, you're 45, your time horizon's pretty long until your goal of retiring at 62, 60. Why don't we just change that, the way you're invested, just to a moderate level of risk? So a moderate level of risk, you're willing to accept moderate levels of risk with modest returns versus their current allocation is really conservative. So let's take a look at and see if that changes things. Wow, look at that. So we jumped from 68 to 70 by contributing 10%, and then to 90% just by changing how they're allocating their investments. Let's look at one other thing. So your current strategy on Social Security is, let's go back to there. You're telling me, okay, I want to take my Social Security early at 62 is what this is saying. So let's see if we change that around, because you could take Social Security early at 62. You're going to get a reduced check. At full retirement age, which for most folks now it's 67, you get a far more, and then at age 70 is another tier level that's even higher. So let's say we say, no, I want to take my Social Security at age 70. We got a 94% degree of success by doing that. And this is saying estimate, forecast, that even at death, you're going to have 2.2 million left over. So that's pretty awesome. Let's look at the cash flows on this. And cash flows will show what's coming in. They're making 90 and 70 or 160,000 a year. The expenses are 102,400, and that includes that 5,800 a month is the living expense. Housing is going to include, your mortgage payment, your interest on the mortgage, property tax, insurance, and things like that. And then your debt payments, you're paying off, a car and things like the credit card. But you'll see that credit card and the car loan goes away in just, a few years. And then we also see this. In the first couple of years, starting now, they would pretty much break even. What's coming in is going out, but they're still saving. Remember that 6% to their 401k. And then after some of that debt is gone, it frees up cash, and then they're in the positive cash flow for the year. And what I'm suggesting to them is invest that positive cash flow. If you do that, then if we look at how their account balances grow on the proposed plan by, I changed it to save 10% instead of 6%. I changed how you invested, and I changed the Social Security amount to wait until age 70. Now keep this in mind, if they're retiring at age 60 and 62, well, that's 8 to 10 years before they're going to collect Social Security. What are we going to live on? Well, you're going to live on what we've invested for you. So we see their total investment balances are growing. They become pretty much a millionaire at age 53. And then at retirement, we see it's still growing and growing. They're pulling money out of it, yes. But the point to all of this is, look at what your monthly expenses are right now. Take out all that debt payment, mortgage payment, taxes, and I want to know what your lifestyle expenses are. And that's what I want to shoot for, to live on. Not so much, it's not always 70% of your income or 80%. It's you personally. So, you might say, now, Keith, that's great. You got me where I can retire at 60, 62, live on 5,800 that I was used to, adjusted for inflation. But, that's just me sitting at the house and maybe going out to eat every once in a while, doing what I'm already doing. I wonder if I want to go on some trips and things like that. So let's take a look at that. So what we do, let's add a goal. Let's say, okay, we'll just call it vacation. And let's say we want to spend $10,000 a year on our trips at Homer's retirement. And I have found that in the early years when you retire, those are the go-go years. You're going to spend more money in those early years, the 5 to 10 years. And then the next 5 to 10, they're the slow-go years. You're not spending as much because we're aging. And then later on, the last part are pretty much the no-go years. So let's say, hey, for the first 5 years, I want to spend $10,000 a year in today's dollars on trips, and I want to adjust it for general inflation. Let's see how that affects your retirement goals. It doesn't affect it. So that means you can do that. So there's a lot of wiggle room in this plan. But remember, it all comes down to what your living expenses are now and what you want your living expenses to be during retirement. And we add those other goals of going on trips, going on vacation, philanthropic needs, and we look at that degree of success. So this kind of gives you some confidence going forward, and it all takes a retirement plan. I would encourage you to sit down with somebody, a financial advisor like myself, to go through these steps and then say, okay, this is what you've got to do to, pursue those goals. And that, again, that gives you a lot of confidence going forward. So when you search on the internet, it takes 70%, 80%, 50% of your income. Those are just general rules of thumbs. When I work with clients, I get laser focused and say, let's look at your particular needs.